Hi, this is Chandra, Super Happy Scrapper, and somebody made a comment when I showed this video on how I did the binding on this album. So I thought I would go through it real quick since I'm making another album. So what I did was I cut 3 strips of chipboard at 2 inches by the height of my album. My album is 8.5 inches. And then I just put Tyvek on, no, I put score tape on the back of them, and I'm just using a piece of recycled Tyvek envelope that I got from work. And so I'm just going to apply these strips to the Tyvek, and then I'm going to space them, a little bit apart, just like you would when you're doing a regular album. So what I do is I use 2 pieces of thickness of the chipboard. And you can hear the game going on. My husband's watching Kentucky. So hopefully he doesn't come in here all mad and yelling. So I'm just placing the second one next to the first one like that. And I'm going to do the same thing with the third one. It's really simple. I mean, I'm just making sure they're lined up horizontally. No, I don't need this extra Tyvek on the side, so I will cut it off. If I can find my... There we go. Just cut that off. And so now I'm going to cover this piece with some patterned paper. And yep, I was wondering if it would fit because it was a scrap. So I'm just going to cover this outside perimeter with some score tape. And then I'm going to cover each side of this chipboard so you can see where the gap is in between there. And I'm going to put a piece of score tape on each side of that just so that the paper adheres really nice to my covers. And then it's kind of hard sometimes when you're dealing with the Tyvek, but I'm going to use my ATG gun to kind of get inside here. Sometimes the tape sticks to the Tyvek and sometimes it doesn't. So you just have to use enough pressure to get it to stick. So now I'm just going to make sure that all my score tape is burnished on there nicely, and then I'm going to peel it off. Okay. And now I'm just going to flip it and wrap it. I'm going to flip it over. I'm just going to burnish it to make sure all the tape is adhered. Now I don't need this much paper on here to wrap it, so I'm just going to cut that off. And then what I like to do is first fold the paper around all 4 sides so that I can get a square pattern in the cardstock there so that I can cut out that square when I'm wrapping. But you don't want to get too close to the corners here because then when you wrap, it'll leave a gap. You don't want that. I got a regular camera. I bought it from a guy at work. It's a Canon camera, so I thought I'd try to record videos with a digital camera instead of my webcam because this keeps on locking up. But the tripod I have won't let it. Oh, I can't record with it upside down. I don't know, because I like the view from above versus the view from sideways. I don't like watching tutorials when it's sideways. I want to see as if I were sitting there. So I'm kind of having a hard time trying to rig up something to record. So I'm just taking my bone folder and I'm pressing it against the chipboard here so that the paper is nice and snug against there. Just putting a nice crease in it. And then I'm just going to use my score tape. I'm going to apply a piece of score tape on the edge of the paper and also on the outside edge of the chipboard. And that's just what I like to do because I think it stays better. I go through a lot of score tape. I love it. I have to order it online because there's no store in town that sells it. Okay. So I'm just, again, burnishing, making sure all the score tape is stuck on there. So when I peel it off, I'm actually peeling off just the backing and not the actual score tape. So now I have to think of what to name this video. I don't know. Wrap around spine. There you go. Okay. So again, I'm just going to fold it down. And I'm doing the two sides at once. It doesn't matter if you start with the long or the short side. You're not even going to see any of this. So I'm just pushing this cardstock down here so that I push it down so that when I wrap it, let's see it. Okay, so I have my spine done and I'm going to slowly just bend the paper. You don't need to bend it any more than up because it's not going to go, it's going to go on the album like this. And it depends on what kind of cardstock you're using. Like this is glittered thick cardstock, so it is going to chip. I mean, it's going to crack. There's nothing that I can do about it. Now this is my front cover or my back cover. It's a cover. And here's the other cover. So I have picked this paper for the front of my album. And so I'm going to put it on there. But what you need to decide is if you want this paper to be on the front and the back, or if you want to wrap your paper around. For example, this album that I did, I wrapped the paper around the album. What I could do is I could just glue it on there. Obviously, I would glue it on the back side, okay? And cut around it, and then I'll have the raw chipboard edges sticking out. I personally don't like that, so I'm not going to do that. But what I am going to do is I'm kind of going to figure out where I want this cover to be. So I want it to be like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my bone folder and I'm just going to lightly press on the paper so that when I go to put this back on the other side, I know where the front is going to be, where my design is going to be on my actual album. So on the back, I can kind of see, I don't know if you're picking it up in the camera. It's not very dark. Let me see if I can score it a little bit harder here. And I don't want to rip my paper, so don't use the pointed end. But there we go. That should be better. Yeah, you can see it now. I can see the outline of where I put the cover. So I'm just going to apply my tape now. And I always do the outside in score tape, and then the inside I cover with ATG. And I suppose that since I'm wrapping the album, I could use all ATG because it's not going to come off, but it's better to be safe than sorry. Okay. So again, just want to make sure that score tape is held down there. I'm going to make sure that I'm working on the right side and my kind of faux score marks are there. So I'm going to try to line it up. You don't want to leave enough edge. I want to make sure that it's straight with the paper. Again, I'm going to make sure, and I don't need all of this on there. You only need about, I like an inch to wrap. Some people say half an inch. You can get away with half an inch, like this side, but I prefer at least an inch because I don't want to mess up. You know, it's a bummer when you get everything done and you don't have enough to wrap. So at least this way I'll have enough to wrap. So a quick way to fold your edges is to do that on all four sides. And then now I can cut out my corners. See, I'm supporting UK. I don't know if you can tell. It's Dr. Pepper in a UK glass. Hope they win. Don't know if they will. It's going to be very loud in here if they don't. He's got a sports. I have my scrapbooking. The only bad thing is my room, although it has a door, it's cracked open right now, but he's got the surround sound, and you can't watch a game without surround sound, apparently. It must be a man code. Okay, so now I'm going to, nope, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to cover it yet. So I'm just going to take off. This is just a simple wrapping of the cover. Just kind of trying to whip through it here. Again, I want to use my bone folder to get a nice crisp line here. Start with the small edges. I don't know why, I just do. Okay. Okay, so that's my cover. Now I'm just going to quickly cover the back. I think I'm going to go ahead. It's covering all of that. I wonder, actually I'm going to change my mind. I was going to use this blue paper for my back, but now I see this wood grain. I'm going to see if there's a wood grain in here. And by the way, this is Die Cuts with a View, the vintage collector stack. Yep, there's the wood grain right there. So this one you don't have to be like precise on. I guess if you want the wood grain matching, it's going this way. So I'm just going to apply my tape. Whoops. Sometimes your tape doesn't want to stick to the chipboard. I'm just quickly going through this. I think you get the idea of wrapping. Going a little out of order here, but it still works. I didn't bend my pages yet. See, the paper's cracking. I hate that. It's funny, when we had our second son, my due date was like the end of March, and my husband was freaking out because, you know, March Madness, he didn't want it to be interrupted by the birth of our child. So I ended up getting induced in April, but yeah, he was not liking the fact that he might have to miss a basketball game. And he was a groomsman in one of his friends' wedding, but Kentucky was playing that day, so he took his portable TV with him to the wedding and watched it at the reception the whole time. And while he was getting ready, it was crazy. He's a nut. Okay, so now I have my front cover and my back cover done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place score tape all along. Whoops, better get in camera frame there. I'm going to place score tape all along here and there, and then all I'm going to do is stick the front cover to it. That's it. It's very simple. If you want to distress your edges, you want to do that now before you put the cover on, because you don't want to get the distressing that you're trying to do here onto that. You want to be sure that you put a good amount on there, because this is what's holding it together. And I ran out. Hold on one second. Oops, got some right here. Okay, so I have all the score tape on there, so now I'm just going to peel it off. Since this isn't, you can flip it upside down, I don't have any pattern on this spine, I'm going to check the other side and see if I like one design better than the other design. If I like it, I'll put it on the front. I don't know why, but I like this one better. So I'm just going to take, whoops, I'm trying to do it backwards here. This is the cover and this is the spine. I don't want to put my cover past this crack here. I want to make sure that it's lined up to that crack. So making sure it's lined up. Let me try to get into the camera frame. I'm stuck. Okay. Like, you know, putting my arm in front of it like this is going to make the camera not stick. I don't get it why I do it. But anyway. So I'm just, let me see if I can zoom in here because this is kind of important. I'm just lining this up so that it's straight along the bottom and it's going to be straight along the top. Now I'm out of frame again. So I'm just putting my thumb on the bottom and making sure that it's lined up, and I'm lining it up right next to the chipboard. As a matter of fact, there's like a little bit of chipboard that you can see in there from the back cover. So I'm just going to do the same with the back. How are they doing, babe?
1 foot.
Cool. So doing the same with the back.
Leads out for the rest of the half, though.
That's not good. There we go. Now to attach your spine, you just make your spine like you normally would and attach it on there like that. And then you can cover this side with paper. If you don't like the look of this on there, you can attach this to your spine and then attach your covers to it. I personally don't care, so I'm going to do it this way. If you are into the process and you're making it with me and then you're like, oh no, I wanted to do it that way, you could use less flaps. So you could cut your flaps at 1/2 inch instead of at 1 inch, and then they won't stick out there. But that's how you make this kind of cover. you have any questions, feel free to message. Thanks. Bye.